A minute, no less. Boy, this prep has been something. All right. Still, here we are. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to what we call Cast Iron Wednesday, where every Wednesday a bunch of YouTube cooking channels get together and do a video on cast iron, cooking in cast iron, collecting cast iron, cleaning cast iron, hitting people with cast iron. Well, fortunately, there hasn't been any of that here yet, but who knows what tonight will happen tonight. Of course, these things are full of hot oil right now, so I better be careful as far as the hitting is concerned.
I prefer candy if that happens though.
Oh yeah, well, we'll talk about that another time. So yeah, but nonetheless, here we are as promised for what we're calling the Battle of the Deep Fryers, because as you can see, we are going to be putting a couple of really big cast iron pots through their paces tonight. And also, but more importantly, though, I'm glad to see we've got people here, and that's always a plus. Can only thank everybody for showing up here. Yeah, because we've got all our friends here. What the hell have I just done? Oh, I'm sorry. I just clicked on it. Oh, gee. There we go. Sorry about that. Seems like I got a reminder that opened up another window saying that the live was starting. Anyway, hello, everybody. Hello, William Hurt and Joe Brown and Granny Graham. Nice to see you here tonight. Rick Stumbow and Cynthia Wesley and Clico. And I think I said William Hurt already, and Christine Borgatti. Yes, indeed. It's always a pleasure to see you folks here on Wednesday or anytime here on live. So thank you once again for showing up. I can only hope that we have some fun tonight, but I better start off by checking the temperature here. Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Oh, boy. I think I better turn these down, in fact. It looks like not only did it go, but it went over a little bit. So down we go. And that's a good sign then, at least. But nonetheless, yes, here we are, folks. With not one but two cast iron deep fryers here. Both are filled with oil, and it looks like we're already ready to plop in some chicken. So that's good. First of all, that'll help to reduce the temperature here, and also it will, the temperature of the oil, that is. But also it'll help us to get started on what we're doing, which is, of course, doing a whole bunch of deep frying. And I'll get into the details of this pretty much as we go along. So, I'm going to start off by saying, hey, I like already that there's going to be a lot of room for doing this. Here's one. Here's, come on, two, three, four. And this is a big piece too. 5 pieces of chicken already in just one of these. This is the Birmingham Stove Range deep fryer. And on the other hand, we've got 1. Don't drop it. 2. 3. 4. And 5. So we're off to a really decent start here from the fact. Look at all the room we're able to do this in. I mean, I'm able to put 5 pieces of chicken in each one of these. That means I'm actually cooking this chicken in batches of 10 at a time. So in just a few minutes or so, we're going to have 10 pieces of chicken already. So that's one thing I like about having these things. They're big and they have a lot of room here. So yeah, that is definitely is really a good reason, or it's certainly tempting me to keep both of these fryers. I wasn't sure if I'd have a use for both of these fryers, but I'd say we may be off to a good start already here. Now, okay, let's get into some detail here. We have got, as I mentioned before, these are 2 vintage cast iron deep fryers here. And the one on the left is one that a lot of people are probably familiar with. The right, rather. This is on the right on this end. But nonetheless, this is a Lodge cast iron deep fryer from their Sportsman series, in fact. It was produced in the early 1990s or so as part of their with the image of their wildlife series on it. It's actually fairly well known, and even though Lodge discontinued these somewhere around the year 2002 or so, they're still quite popular, and when they're found, they can often command a high price. This one, on the other hand, is the granddaddy of this one because this one came from Birmingham Stove Range. And interestingly enough, they were both part of the Sportsman series, too. This was among the first generation of fryers produced by Birmingham Stove Range. And you can tell because of the rectangular handle here, which matches what we see on their shallow fish fryer. The BSR shallow fish fryer is also quite popular among cast iron folks. I dare say there may be a few other people on even watching this video right now who might have one of the BSR fish fryers because it's a really useful cast iron pan. Nonetheless, though, it wasn't until only a few years ago that at least I personally even knew that BSR had produced a deep fryer version of this very same pot. I saw a few photos of these things posted on Facebook. The first one was several years ago, and yes, I was indeed quite shocked to discover that that BSR had made these deep fryers even back from their earlier days. Yet, on the other hand, I was even more shocked, as folks know or who've been following this channel know, to only about a month or so ago, discover one for myself at the Brimfield Antique Show, and that turned out to be something I could not pass up. Which is why I've taken the time to clean it up and season it, and here we are putting it through its paces. Not to be outdone, nonetheless, we've got the Lodge fish fryer, deep fryer anyway. Which I've had for several years now, and I've gotten some use out of it, so I'm always glad to be using it again. The size of these pans is almost identical, but not exactly identical. In fact, the Lodge one has a lid that fits very well on the Lodge pan and does not fit quite right on the BSR pan. So there is a very slight size difference. It was renamed slightly for the new when it was redesigned during the 1960s or so. Oh dear. And speaking of which, I've got Jeff Reynolds here saying, I've just bought my second 6-quart air fryer from Costco. Air fryer. Okay, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah. But I'm sure you'll have some fun with that. So, okay. And Jeff Reynolds here. I had so much fun following the pasta cheese bake. Well, I'm glad you like that as well. So, but nonetheless, Cynthia Wesley. Oh goodness, Kimberly, seems like it's every Wednesday now in Louisiana. Yes, and hello, Papa Dan. It's nice to see you here again, and I'm hoping things are doing good. You said here that you're heading home and you carried Mama some supper. Well, congratulations. I'm glad to hear she's doing okay. But yeah, as I mentioned, there is a long and pretty storied history to these particular cast iron pans, and I guess folks who know the Sportsman grill probably know that this deep fryer was originally produced as part of a set to go with the original Sportsman grill, which, as you know, has recently been redesigned by Lodge as well. So there's actually quite a bit of history here in these pans, and I'm more than happy to be part of it here. Because yes, it all started right around the 1930s or so when BSR first produced the Sportsman the Sportsman grill. I keep saying that, which, as you know, the design of it hadn't really changed for several decades. So a lot of people are familiar with it, even if today a lot of people just refer to it as the hibachi cast iron fish fry. I keep saying that, cast iron grill. And yes, even in those old days, as we mentioned, BSR produced these oval fryers for their Sportsman grill. And again, the shallow one was a lot more popular and a lot more common. And you can still find it even with its rectangular handles here, Well, I shouldn't say easy. I mean, it's still a prize to be found, but it is not impossible to find it if you are patient enough to just keep on hunting. Along with that, of course, they produced this deep fryer here, as we mentioned, which was a lot less common. But this was all part of their Sportsman series. The shallow fryer, some of the shallow fryers had the word Sportsman on the handle and a model number underneath. I believe that was 3052. The bottom of this is almost completely bare. It does not have the word Sportsman on the underneath. Furthermore, it also the only marking on the bottom side of this one is what looks like a number 1 on the bottom. So if it was ever officially produced for the Sportsman series, I don't think we've seen any examples of it having that logo on it yet. But nonetheless, as I said already, this is a real prize. I guess I should mention as well one thing. Boy, has it been a year or so? Maybe I think since I last did fried chicken here on the live. In that one, I used the Lodge rectangular fish fryer. You know, they're really big, really wide fish fryer that was reproduced recently as part of their Legacy series. And I was able to get a lot of room in that pan as well. Although in that pan, I fried 8 pieces of chicken at a time. Here, because we're using on 2 pans, 5 each, I'm doing 10 pieces of chicken. So that is a definite advantage over the oval fryer. On the other hand, I had to use more oil in these pots than I did in the other one. With the oval fryer, I was able to pour in 4 quarts of oil, and I was able to do some good chicken frying. With this one, I had to use 6 quarts. I put 3 quarts in each one of these, so 6 quarts. So we're talking 50% more oil than I had to use in that rectangular fish fryer. So I guess you could say these both have advantages and disadvantages. Although on the other hand, I'm liking the advantages of this. The rectangular fish fryer, I was only able to fit across 2 burners on the stove top as well, which means, of course, the temperature was not quite as evenly distributed. Whereas here, I'm able to put this one here and that one there, so I'm able to use all 4 burners on the stove top. So I am indeed quite happy with that.
Smells like chicken.
Yes, indeed. Smells like chicken. Boy, do we have chicken cooking. These turned out to be some pretty darn big pieces of chicken, too. So can only hope folks like it when it's done. I'm going to be doing my best to measure this to temperature to be sure that the chicken is properly done. Right now, I think I'm at the point where I can turn it over. That's 5 pieces here. 1, 2. I have a total of 10 drumsticks in here, all of which have been coated with breading. I went looking for thighs, and I found it turned out for some reason there was actually something of a chicken shortage in the supermarket in the last week. So I was able to find some boneless thighs, which means which means we're going to be having. Yes, that's correct. Yes, there are boneless thighs in here, and also I took a couple as well of big, huge chicken breasts, thawed them out, and cut them in half. So out of 2 big chicken breasts, there I have 4 large chicken breasts frying here. I tried to do as much variety as I could. So anyway, and hello, Debbie. Made pancakes this morning for Am and my blueberry jelly I made yesterday. Oh, that definitely sounds tempting. I mean, there's one thing you can make in cast iron. If anything, it would be pancakes. So hello, Belle's Black Cats Rules. I will see you later as well. Have fun doing your errand. Hello, Jose Latios. Jeffrey Reynolds is going to be a lot cheaper. Okay. And Terry Sinchef is also talking about getting an air fryer. Hello, grumpy old gringo. Donald Webb, I bought a Lodge fish fryer today in very good shape. Well, nice. Congratulations. Very heavy with leg. leg. Oh, I think I know what you mean. You mean the rectangular one. And yeah, the first ones that they produced were, I don't know, maybe the 1960s or so, and they did in fact have these stubby legs on the bottom. That's true. All right, Cynthia Wesley, I'll need somebody to show me how. I guess show you how, as in what? Deep frying? And seriously, says Jeff Reynolds, I was already thinking of going back to deep fat frying again. Well, yeah, I know about the health issues and all that, but quite frankly, I'm certainly not deep frying every single day here. As Cookie Monster likes to say, this be sometimes food. Yeah. So while we're at it, let's see if I can dig out the from my stuff. How good I do. Let's get out one of our thermometers here. Make sure it's set for Fahrenheit and see how well the chicken is coming along at this point. And so far we are at 109, 110, 111. So there's still a little ways to go in this yet, which is good. I was worried that this thing would be going too fast, but so far I like how it's turned out. Anyway, yeah, frying chicken is not only delicious, it's fun. I certainly found that out the first time I fried chicken in cast iron. So, and that's yet another reason why I've said this before as well. I mean, if you have the opportunity to get at least one big cast iron pan, whether it's an oval fryer or a number 14 size skillet or the Lodge rectangular fish fryer or even a cauldron or a big Dutch oven, I say do it. Have at least one big cast iron pan in your kitchen because you will get a lot of use out of it. I mean, any number of ways you can do that. I mean, here I am, for instance, doing some really nice, well, I hope it's going to be really nice fried chicken, for instance. I've also used these pots here to make gumbo and jambalaya. And of course, they're also really good baking dishes. Also, last week I actually made something in this oh yeah, I believe it was Hamburg, that's right, in this very same deep fryer. No, it wasn't in this one, it was in a different one, in one of my Dutch ovens, I believe. Boy, I'm having trouble remembering things tonight. But nonetheless, one other thing I should say about using a deep cast iron pot like this is that it's actually reducing the amount of splatter. I mean, while I could have made these, say, in a pair of 12-inch cast iron skillets, there would, of course, be a lot more grease splattering all over the place. There's still a tiny bit of splatter getting out. There's no denying that, but it is considerably less than if I had used a more shallow pan. So that's another reason why I am definitely liking these things here. Probably the big disadvantage is, as I mentioned, the fact that I had to use a lot of oil here. So yeah, making fried chicken like this, especially when I live just by myself with a roommate, is something of a special occasion, and that's why I'm doing my best to make it a special occasion tonight. However, what's the term they're using these days? Oh yeah, ASMR, and I'm actually yeah. Okay, you clean the bedroom. Okay, and yeah, and we'll celebrate by having fried chicken tonight. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, what was I saying? The sound of this is, again, they call it ASMR these days, and I forget what the actual term ASMR stands for. All I know it meant it's supposed to be soothing, calming noise, like white noise, for instance, that generally calms you down. Yes. And I think I could certainly say that. You know, this is probably one of those sounds you could listen to all day, unless you work at a chicken frying restaurant. I'm sure you probably get sick of it by then. But of course, there's a difference. The difference is that's your job, and that's not a bad thing either. On the other hand, here we are doing it for pleasure, so that I guess makes this even more fun. Hmm.
Sounds so weird. I can't stand it.
Oh yeah, you're talking about those TikTok ASMR videos, aren't you? Yeah, the ones where somebody that whispers all the time to make you feel relaxed, and they rub their fingers on the microphones to produce this little friction noise and all that. So yeah. Now this isn't quite like that. I noticed this, by the way, the steam's starting to escape on this one. So yeah.
Oh, Nana.
Huh.
Shocking.
Yeah.
That was a threat.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. You gotta be careful not to overdo this, of course. So I should probably even consider checking the temperature once again. And see what it's like. 37, 49, 54, 58, 61, 62. I'm going to give this maybe about 2 more minutes because it's dark meat. I find actually when I do fried chicken in particular, I think it works even better if you bring the temperature up a little more than 165. I'm talking like maybe the 170 to 180 range. And then in that case, this should be done. And it'll already be time for the next batch. That's what I mean. We're going to have 10 pieces of chicken ready. Not just 2, not just 4, but 10 pieces of chicken. And the next batch is still going to be going in. So So yeah, I like the way that we are doing this big tonight. And let's check on our comments as well. Hello, Pegtooth. Hello, nice to see you here. And Kimberly Miller as well. So, and Cynthia Wesley, nice niches. I have that pot. I think he said it's normal for them to spin a little bit. Well, typically, I mean, if you're using a rounded pot, having it, I mean, quite a lot of the big pots actually turned out to be spinners, but generally that's not really a big problem. Because especially if you're going to be doing a lot of baking in it, for instance, or yeah, oven cooking, I should say. So, Nisha says, I found a BSR number 12 Dutch oven with the lid today, but it spins a little. Oh, yeah, that's what you're talking about. I say go ahead and clean it up and use it. It does mean that if you put it on the stove top and try frying in it, there will be a more hot spot in the center. But that will not prevent you from cooking in it, not in any way whatsoever. And likewise, again, if you're actually going to be doing things like coal cooking or even cooking in the oven with that pot, there will not be any problem at all. All of my big BSR pots, unfortunately, have been spinners. So I encourage you to go ahead and get it and use it. That is, especially after you clean it up. Cynthia Wesley, I regretted my air fryer. Well, my condolences. What temperature are your stovetop burners tonight? I only have the stovetop burners here. These are electric burners, and I only have them maybe a little bit under medium, in fact. So I guess because of the way they are positioned directly over the burners, there is a lot less overlap than with the big rectangular one, for instance. So that means a lot more contact with the burners, and we're getting a lot more direct heat on the iron. And so that actually meant that when I started this at 8 o'clock, this oil was actually a bit too hot, and I had to turn it down a little bit. But that's also why I put these things into the oil, because as you know, you get a temperature drop when you put cold chicken into hot oil. So on the whole, I'd say we are probably just about ready to pull out this first batch of chicken. And we are, boy, not bad. We're only 25 minutes into this, too. So I like that. Let's just double check here. Let me pull out one piece. $129, $142. Whoops, damn it. Okay, maybe not that piece. Let's try this one. And I don't want to ruin the coating either. This one, by the way, is a chicken breast. 148. Come on. Oh, it's on hold. That's why. 151. 152. Really? Huh. Let me check this on the other end here. There we go. 146, 160, 164. That's better. 167. Okay, we are good, especially with the chicken breast. Okay. So far, so good. 2, 3, 4. Actually, let me cheat a little bit and move over this way a little bit. 5, and that's just out of one pot, mind you. And these are pretty big pieces of chicken, too. Yeah, chicken. And 6. Yeah.
My ears weren't that great. They were two of my ears. But for like when I learned how to talk, when I was learning how to talk, I couldn't hear what people were saying very well. So I thought it was chucking.
Hey, chucking.
Chucking. And it wasn't dessert, it was dessert.
Yeah.
I want to chucking dessert.
All right. There we go. Okay, folks. So show's over, folks. We've fried some chicken. Have a good night. No, I'm kidding. we have only just begun. Yes, I know. We have only just begun here, but I do believe we are off to a what I think would be called a decent start so far. Let me find a place to put these tongs down. Darn it. Okay, because so far so good. As you can see, we still have the other half of the chicken to do yet. So, but I mean, we've got 10 pieces of chicken here already. Once this thing cools down, people will be free to help themselves, because there's really no need to wait until the end of the video. But anyway, getting back to where we were, let's do this right. Thank you for your patience. As we were, once again, here are the 2 cast iron fryers here. The BSR is here on this side, which looks like, I guess, the right side on the video, and the Lodge is here on what looks like the left side, but that's only because the camera has it reversed here. Still, as I mentioned already, BSR started out with the Sportsman grill, and they made their shallow fryer and also the deep fryer for the original Sportsman grill. And it was produced like this with the rectangular handles here for at least until the 1960s or so, when BSR redesigned much of their entire line of cast iron as they went into automated production. That means that anything with this rectangular handle here would be pre-1966. I mean, again, that was when they started their automated production. So, I mean, this could be anywhere from the 1930s to the 1960s. There's really no way to date it otherwise, but that's good enough. I mean, it's a really nice pot, and I have to say, I'm hoping this has been a decent christening for this. After they redesigned it in the 1960s, of course, they were producing the pot with a more rounded handle here. And at first, the handles on their fryers, both the shallow fryers and the fish fryer, had very narrow and skinny handles. I understand BSR collectors these days call them rope handles, in fact, because they look like sturdy cast iron pieces of rope. And they were like that until the handles and I guess the pots themselves were generally redesigned. Yeah, see, right now we're at 312 here, and here, on the other hand, we're at just under 300. So that means I can heat these things up again to get to the right frying temperature. My understanding is it was during the 1970s or so, BSR had those narrow handles on their fryers, both the shallow and the deep fryers. And it was also at that time that they introduced the cover as well for the shallow and deep fryers. The cover remained the shape of the handle on the cover remained the same for their entire history. But during the 1980s, BSR eventually redesigned this once again and gave it more of this flat top handle here, which is wider and presumably more resistant to cracking and breaking. This design, in fact, is the one that's used by just about every imitator, Asian manufacturers who produce their own so-called cast iron oval roasters. Um, there are, let me see, as I mentioned already, Lodge um, acquired the Sportsman grill when BSR went out of business in the early 1990s. BSR passed on the design of their Sportsman grill and a couple of other pans, especially the cornbread skillet, to Lodge as part of their debt settlement. And Lodge did continue to produce the deep fryer here for at least a few years. As I mentioned, up until about 2002. I don't believe they ever produced the shallow fryer. I think they were only producing the deep fryer until they finally discontinued it in 2002. After that, Lodge has not reproduced their, whether you call it the oval fryer or the oval roaster. Lodge has not, unfortunately, produced any more of those. They continue to produce the Sportsman grill up until only 2 years ago, when they finally discontinued the Sportsman grill, and now they've introduced the new Sportsman's Pro grill, which actually has a lot of good word and some good reviews too. But nonetheless, there's been no sign yet of reproducing any more of these for these big pots or pans for the Sportsman grill, unfortunately. Which is why, if you want one of these so-called oval roasters today, you would have to either look for a vintage one, and they're not especially hard to find, but they're usually really, really, really expensive. Um, yeah. I would not be surprised if you end up paying anywhere in the order of between $100 to $200, unless you get a really good deal on these, and sometimes you can. People, even today, are still managing to score these things at yard sales, for instance. They're rare and they're extremely lucky finds when you find them at a yard sale, but they could still be found. Um, as I mentioned, the BSR shallow fryer with the rectangular handles can also still be found. Though once again, as far as I know, this deep fryer with the angled handles is a lot more rare. But I've already said my piece about that. However, that's the very general story. I mean, unless anybody wants to ask questions specifically about these, of which will do my best to answer as well. But other than that, unless you score a vintage one, you are otherwise you would need to get an Asian-made so-called cast iron oval roaster if you want something like this. And quite frankly, that's really not a bad thing if you really want or need to use one of these oval roasters, because they are really, really useful. And you would not regret it if you got it, even if it was Asian made. All of the big Asian manufacturers who make cast iron for America have made these oval roasters. Cabela's, for instance, their house brand is produced by Camp Chef. They actually have one of these for sale with a nice lid, and it is just about exactly or close to the same size as the original Lodge Sportsman fryer as well. I've seen them on sale from Bayou Classic, from Cajun Classic, even Iron Mountain. So they can certainly be had brand new today. And as I said, if you feel you have a need for one of these, I would certainly recommend picking one up. I mean, if you want to wait and see if you can get lucky and score a vintage one on the cast iron treasure hunt, the best of luck to you. And again, I can only hope you have some success and find what you're looking for here. So, and Papa Dan, it looks like people are giving prayers to Pawpaw Dan once again. I apologize. I've been talking here. I haven't had much of a chance to read a lot of the comments here. Debbie, never seen one, only here in cast iron groups. Very nice, though. I'll use my chicken fryer and skillets, and you could certainly do so because those chicken fryers, well, that's why they call them chicken fryers. They are really great for frying chicken. The only disadvantage is the volume is a little bit less. In a typical cast iron chicken fryer, the number 8 or number 9 size, you could probably do 3 full-size pieces of chicken, maybe 4 at the very most. Which means, of course, it would have taken a lot longer to do this batch of 10 pieces of chicken that we've done right now. On the other hand, you would have used less oil. I mean, I told you already, I had to use 6 quarts of oil in these things, 3 quarts in each one. So these things definitely do have advantages and disadvantages. But especially because I've been doing that, as I said, that's why I'm trying to get my money or the most use out of this tonight as I can. So thank you, everybody. Pawpaw Dan for the prayers and thoughts. And Pawpaw Dan. Yes, I did say the Lodge lid won't fit correctly on the BSR. The Lodge lid is not sure if you could call it a little big. All I know is that no, it does not fit exactly. I'm not sure if it's because I think the Lodge pot is maybe very, very slightly thicker than the BSR pot. And so that might be why the rim of the Lodge lid does not completely fit right on the Lodge pot. I'm sorry, on the BSR pot. But yes, it's true. The lid for the Lodge Sportsman fryer will not fit correctly on the BSR fryer. If you placed it on top, it would be good enough and heavy enough that you could probably cook with it. But it's not a perfect fit the way it would be if you put it on the Lodge fryer. So, do these fryers have similar weights and volumes? Again, I think I would say the Lodge one is maybe slightly thicker and maybe slightly heavier, especially with the lid. On the other hand, I'm getting the impression the BSR one may be just a fraction of an inch taller, but not much. So, I mean, it's really, I don't think it would have that much of an effect on the volume. A while ago, I did my math and I computed that the volume of the Lodge fryer was about 10 quarts or 2.5 gallons. And I would be confident in saying that the BSR fryer probably has about the same capacity. So that means I've got 20 quarts of cooking space if I were to fill these things all the way to the top. 20 quarts is 4 gallons. That's a good sized amount of space. You could make a heck of a lot of jambalaya and something like that. All right. Where did my thermometer go? Here it is. Let's see what we have now. Oh, yeah, 376. This one is 355. Okay. That means I think we are about ready to fry once again. So it's time for the next batch of chicken to go in. And here we go again. Let's put this down. And here we go. Got to do this right. Come on. Come on. Having trouble just picking this silly thing up. Damn it. Let's do this right. Ha. 1. Boy, all that trouble just for 1. 2. 3. Do this over a little bit. 4. And come on. 5. There we go. And now. Oh yeah, part of the problem is that the coating is starting to stick to the rack already on this other one. I waited too long. So I've got to be careful here. Let's do this right. There we go. Careful. Do not want to drop it. 6. That is a big pumpkin piece of chicken. 7. 8. 9. Boy, look at that thing bubble. And finally, 10. All right. Several years ago, when I was first preparing to fry chicken for the very first time, I told you I'm an amateur at this. I was doing my research, and yeah, I watched Alton Brown's Good Eats. He had this episode on how to fry chicken. That was the one he's saying, like, fry some more. And I remember him commenting about the coating. Whoa. Commenting about the coating that you put on the chicken here. And as he says, you have to do it quickly because this is like a cousin of library paste. And I think he made a good point when you look at how this stuff just plain congeals. Nonetheless, once this chicken is done, we are going to be able to have a little bit of fun and fry a few other things. Because again, this is the part where we're using all of this oil. We're putting all of this effort into it. I'm not going to stop with just frying chicken, and we're going to have a little bit of fun after this. Okay. And hello, Glock 30 fan as well. It's better than finger looking good. Well, I certainly hope so. Peg 2, 4 U.S. gallons is a little over 1.5 liters. Well, 15 liters. Just one of those fryers with a towel on the bottom and all the fried chicken piled in it would be a great presentation for any gathering. Oh, definitely. Yet one of the many great things about cast iron, it's very aesthetically pleasing. You want a serving dish, you just put it in a cast iron dish, and there you go. It's as good as fine china, and it's not going to break. Well, almost impossible to break. Christine Borgatti, I have a 10 and a half inch chicken fryer. It's one of my old pieces. That sounds interesting. The best I could say is go ahead and use it. I mean, I'm making enough chicken to feed an army. And in fact, we're going to be having trouble getting rid of all this chicken. So really, your 10 and a half chicken fryer is probably more than enough, unless you have kids. Then in that case, getting one of these probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And that would make a heck of a lot of arroz con pollo, chicken and rice. Oh, yeah, definitely. I've done that a couple of times, in fact. I've got this simple recipe for Dutch oven chicken and rice, and I have used the Lodge Pod to make it at least once. Midnight Lacey, my eye is on the oval fryer. Gotta have one. Well, as I mentioned, your options are you could either look in the vintage hunt and get lucky, and you could get lucky. I mean, as you can see, I managed to get lucky twice, and then there's nothing special about me. Or you could go the direct route and just get a brand new Asian made one. Or even the third option, which of course is to pay through the nose and get one off of eBay, because these things are on. You can find many of these on sale on eBay even now at incredible prices, of course. I mean, the Lodge fryer without the lid right there, you'd probably have to shell out more than $100, maybe even $150 for it. And if you were to include the lid, you'd probably have to pay like $250 or so. I'm guessing, just based on your typical eBay prices. I mean, no way. Please don't take my word as law on that. There's what Papa was talking about. I have 3 issues with my right eye. Only one that I understood is the swelling. Still don't know what's causing it. Well, yeah, as everybody says, we're all hoping for a good recovery, Papa Dan. And here's hoping that your doctor is able to take care of it. Midnight Lacey, I scored 2 older Lodge for $18, the 8-inch and the 10-inch. Congratulations. The SK stands for skillet, a nice simple abbreviation, SK for skillet. Just like if one of the folks here has a Lodge chicken fryer, you would probably have a CF on it, which stands for, of course, chicken fryer. I believe some of these ones here had a initials on the bottom. It either said oval fryer, OF, or maybe OR, oval roaster, but I think it was OF. This one is relatively unmarked like that. Do these fryers have similar weights and volumes? As mentioned, yes. I feel that they are pretty close. I think the Lodge one is a little bit thicker than the BSR one. I think the BSR one is maybe a fraction of an inch taller than the Lodge one, but hardly enough to make any kind of a difference. I would definitely say that if you manage to score the Lodge one in the wild at a decent price, grab it. You will not regret it. I did not regret it. I was not regretting it one bit when I happened to luck out and score this BSR one, and I'm still not regretting it. Right at this moment, in fact, I'm pretty tempted to just keep both of these because I could see getting a lot of use out of it. As I mentioned already, we've got a lot of room here to make big batches of chicken all at once. And so why not? All I've got to do is find storage space for it all. That, of course, is the fun part. And thanks, everybody, says Pawpaw Dan. Okay, the Lodge. Oh, yeah, we talked about the Lodge lids already. So I've never bought a new cast iron piece, only pre-enjoyed, says Pegtooth. And congratulations to you for that. I mean, here's hoping that you managed to score pretty much any cast iron piece that you're looking for, whether it's one of these or otherwise. Yeah, I've looked at eBay, $150. Yeah, that sounds about right. We're talking about 150 here, obviously, and I'm betting it did not even come with a lid. Correct me if I'm wrong, Midnight Lacey. I know $5 is not enough. Well, I'm not even saying that, but thank you very much. You know, I'm really not asking for donations, but I won't say no. I'm not that stupid. I commented it on my Facebook page just yesterday, or was it today? I think it was today. I came across one of those analytical things that analyzed my YouTube channel here and determined that I am in the top 4.3% of all YouTube channels, meaning that my channel ranks number 684,000 or somewhere around there from the top. Considering that how many YouTube channels there are out there, I guess that's not bad. Yeah. So yeah, the that same site also analyzed the profitability potential of my channel, and it said I am doing a pretty poor job of doing it. On a 4-star scale, they rated me 1.5 stars because I don't really push the revenue generation on my channel the way that some businesses should do, or the way that I'm supposed to be doing. I have said before that I have not been interested in getting actual sponsorship on my channel and paid promotions and all that. And a couple of people have commented there's nothing wrong with making money from your YouTube channel. No, there isn't. I am not dissing anybody for that. I mean, there are a number of other people here as well who are actually trying to get some product promotions on their channels, and the best of luck to you. I mean, you've been fortunate enough that think that some companies like Lodge, for instance, have sent you free cast iron to review. Congratulations for that. Or other kitchen items. And again, congratulations for that. I'm certainly not going to knock you on that. As long as you're honest. I mean, I would rather see an honest review than just a plain paid promotion that's faking a so-called review. Whether or not you like the cast iron. One channel I'm pretty sure folks here know about, and I've commented on that guy's channel a couple of times. The Backwoods Gourmet. He does a lot of really nice home cooking in cast iron, outdoors, indoors, and so on. He recently reviewed the Lodge Sportsman's Pro Grill and gave it high marks. Now, this is the same guy who also reviewed the Lodge Cook It All grill. You remember that they came out with a couple of years ago? And his review of the Cook It All grill, he threw it in a lake and called it a boat anchor. You can look on his channel and you'll see his review of that. So at least I know that his review was honest. And so if he's giving high marks to the Lodge Sportsman Pro Grill, I would believe him on that. I mean, I I myself, I'd say probably 99% of my cooking has been indoor cooking. I've done a little bit of outdoor cooking, but not much. So I really would not be the voice of expertise to turn to for things like either the BSR Sportsman Grill, the Lodge Sportsman Grill, or the Lodge Sportsman Pro Grill. On the other hand, I am loving the heck out of my Sportsman fryers here, both these deep fryers and also the shallow fryer. All of which you've seen. I've used that shallow fryer quite a few times, so you've seen that in action as well. And I definitely recommend it. I commented, I think it was just last week, on this BSR one, and I'm still planning on doing it. I'm going to keep an eye out in the hunt for an oval, you know, those round cast iron, no, oval cast iron. Well, they call them griddles from the 19th century, but they're actually flat sad iron heaters. You know, the ones that are oval shaped and pretty thin as opposed to your typical thick griddles. I'm going to try to score one of those sad iron heaters in the same size as this so that I can use it as a lid for this BSR fryer here. Probably the closest I'm ever going to get to a vintage lid for this vintage pan. So why not? Who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky one of these days. That's why they call it the hunt. Matthews, I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Exactly. I, for one, am very picky when it comes to my cast irons. It has to be very versatile and easy to use, but hold up to its name. Oh, definitely. I'm doing my best not to be a hoarder, he said, as he looked at his huge collection of skillets. But if you only have one cast iron pan in your kitchen, or two, or five, and that's it, more power to you. It means you're getting a lot of use out of what you have, and you're probably doing better than me in that respect. I'd say it's probably time to turn these things over. Oh, yeah. In fact, they're sticking together. Okay, there's one. Oh, I think this one might have even turned over already. It's odd. Two. Come on. Two. One cast iron cooking video, especially for deep fried chicken, I looked at early on was from a guy who I've mentioned on this channel a few times. I consider him a YouTube friend, the Deep Fried King. He's done a bunch of fried chicken in his cast iron, and he gave a very simple piece of advice, namely that when it starts to float, you know that it's done. Nice and simple, but of course that only works if you're deep frying. Yeah, these are big pieces of chicken. There's no denying that. And I'm glad I'm using these big long tongs too, so I can keep my bare arms and hands well above all of this splattering oil here. So far, I have not yet gotten one of those love kisses from the splattering oil, and hopefully I won't. But I'm betting it's not going to be long before this chicken is done, and then we get to have a little bit more fun. Peg 2, bring a cardboard cutout on your lid hunts. Yeah, what an idea. Thank you very much for the advice. I like that. I've been trying to figure whether I should just write down the dimensions or something, but I really like your idea a lot. Another person that I think gave an honest review on the new Lodge grill is Mr. Cast Iron. He liked it, and he didn't burn his wife's food. Oh, yeah. So there we go. I guess the Lodge Sportsman's Pro Grill is proof that not all change is bad. Because we have to admit, especially in hindsight now, there are some disadvantages to the original Sportsman grill. I mean, it's been around for decades, and a lot of people have a lot of love for it, and for good reason. But you have to consider some things, like the fact that that little drawbridge cold drawer, that drawbridge draft door, on the one, the one that you can open like a drawbridge. Those things tended to get lost or break. The little hinges tended to break. And when they broke, they were really hard to replace. There's no denying that. Likewise, the draft door tended to get lost. Meanwhile, of course, they also, with a Sportsman's Pro Grill, and they're not even paying me to say this, Sportsman's Pro Grill, apparently they've reduced the whole thing to a total of 4 big pieces, as opposed to the original Sportsman Grill, which I think had like 7, 8 pieces or so to keep track of. So things like that are a real advantage. The one big disadvantage I've seen with the Sportsman Pro Grill is that it tends to wobble, because they designed it now so that it fits. It has 2 long rails that it rests on. It doesn't use legs the way the original Sportsman Grill did. It uses those 2 rails, and that means if you put it on an uneven surface, it's going to have to wobble. Which means, of course, you could always shim it or put a pebble or rock underneath it to level it off. So it's really not that hard. But whether you consider that a disadvantage or not, of course, well, if you're an outdoorsman, you might. Yeah, Cynthia Wesley, very smart idea, Peg. I'm definitely going to have to remember that. How soon do you think they will adjust it? Are they talking about, what's the difference between the Pro and the original Glock 30 fan? Well, I'm describing some of the differences. Apparently, the Pro grill is actually somewhat heavier than the original Sportsman grill. So it's definitely has some weight to it. It's not something that you can carry in a sack. Apparently, the cooking surface is as good or greater than the original Sportsman grill. It still uses those grates. Apparently, you cannot flip the grates over the way you used to be able to. Well, again, look at those other review videos. They go into a lot more detail than I can. And my fried chicken is looking good. Well, I certainly hope so. Are you sure you don't have some Louisiana blood in you? Well, it's hard to say. Up until only the last year or so, I thought I was initially actually of Italian Norse descent. Norse on my father's side, Italian on my mother's side. Apparently, I'm a lot more diverse than that. Apparently, there's some Norse going back in my blood for a few generations, but it seems that my family may very well have emigrated from Canada. And likewise, on my Italian side, there's also a lot of Spanish in it. So I am definitely something of a mixed breed, or a mutt if you prefer. And let's start checking our chicken and see what it's like. Where did I put that other tongue? It's over here. Okay. All right. Let's grab this one, shall we? No, don't want to hit the bone. 32, 41, 47, 51, 54, 56. Oh, I'd say we are probably maybe about a minute or so away. Like I said, I want to bring these things up to higher than 165. Especially because they've got the thick coating on them. That's why I feel it's okay to bring them up to a higher temperature where they're not likely to dry out. Hopefully not even the chicken breast. One other thing I think I will address. This was brought up the last time I fried chicken. And there's still a shot of that BSR one. Somebody complained, not reported me, but just griped about the way I put my fried chicken back on the same rack that I used my raw chicken. I still don't have a problem with that for a couple of reasons. Number one, this chicken is hot, 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 hot. I mean, again, I'm bringing the temperature up to over 170 degrees. And the outside, in fact, is still going to have a shimmy coating of hot oil on the outside. That in itself is going to kill any bacteria that might contact it. So I am not worried at all about that kind of contamination. Furthermore, again, it has a coating as well. So that again is going to prevent any kind of bacteria from getting on the inside. So I am not worried about it. I am honestly not worried about it, and I'm not just saying it to be mean. I don't feel that I am risking anything at all by putting my chicken back on the same rack. I could always, I suppose, maybe like tear off a piece of a paper bag or something and put the chicken on that. But I didn't think of that until this very second. Okay, anyway, having said that, the positive side of fire is that it will help reduce any pits in the cast iron fire and allow you to fix it while it is still hot before it cools down enough to apply the seasoning oil. I'm not sure what we are referring to. Are you referring to seasoning in a fire pit, perhaps, or on a grill? Christine Borgatti, I fry my chicken with just a little oil and then I make gravy of the drippings. Yeah, that's the easy way to do it, and there's nothing wrong with the easy way to do it. You use a lot less oil that way, of course. Pretty much fry it the way you would fry anything in a pan, whether it's sausages or steak or the like, with just a little bit of oil. Check the temperature if you have to, and just keep flipping it until it's done. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because you still get some nice chicken. I'm just doing it this way. Well, number one, because we can. Yeah, that's not, and C-dub, that's not burnt. Okay. And we are probably, oh, chicken is smelling so good. Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, boy, if you could smell that there from Louisiana, I'd say we are probably done at this point. So let's put this out and take this out. The other one, meanwhile, has cooled off, meaning that if I have people here who want to enjoy some chicken now, they are free to help themselves. There's two. 3. Oh, yeah, this is definitely 2 pieces stuck together, isn't it? Yes, it is. There we go. There we go. Here's 4. This is the breast, in fact. And 5. If Jamie wants a piece of chicken, she's more than happy to have one. And now we head over to the lodge. 6. 7. 8. 'Gotta be careful and drain this one off. 9. Boy, is it a big piece. Just one of these pieces would be a meal in itself. And 10. There we are. We've got 20 pieces of chicken already. Off to a decent start here. Move this over or something. I'll put this over here, I guess, so that we can get a nice shot of the chicken for you folks. Damn it. Put it over here. Okay. Anyway. Not bad for a starter, if you ask me. 20 pieces of chicken here. Even with the way prices are going up, 20 pieces of chicken, all of this definitely would have cost less than a 20-piece bucket, whether it's from KFC or otherwise. So I feel that we've gotten our money's worth out of this right already. Let me check this temperature, because as I mentioned, now's the point where we start getting ready to have some fun. This says 269, 264. This one says 300. So we've got a few minutes for this thing to heat up next. All right. But yeah, we are going to be having some chicken tonight. That's for sure. And probably tomorrow and probably over the weekend too. You can eat your dinner, eat your pork and cheese, eat your dinner, eat your pork and beans. I eat more chicken than any man ever seen. Hey, boo vaudon, if I'm pronouncing that right. You must know my mom. My mom had a chicken fetish her entire life. She often said that she could eat chicken 7 days a week. Sometimes we did. We usually ate it at least 2, maybe 3 times a week. And I can't say I ever got tired of it, even though most of the time it's probably something like baked chicken thighs. And there's nothing wrong with baked chicken thighs either. But we did not have a lot of homemade fried chicken. We usually, for when we wanted fried chicken, we usually went to KFC because we live in New England. And in those days, there was not a lot of choice when it came to fried chicken in New England. It was usually KFC or nothing. So we did not have other things. We did not have Zaxby's. We did not have Crown Fried Kennedy Fried Chicken. We did not have Chick-fil-A in those days. And so what I learned, and I still find about KFC in particular, is that when I first eat their chicken, I like it. And then when I'm done, I find I don't want to have KFC again for about a month. It takes a while to get used to get over it. Jose Latias, I used to be a chicken breast man. Now I prefer the thighs. And yeah, your chicken is my stomach growling. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to see you like it. So, and thank you very much. Great to pack for lunches, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, I loved shake and bake chicken back in the day. Oh, yeah, we did have shake and bake a number of times. Yes. I love the oil recycle idea. Yes, that's the thing, as they say, when it's completely cooled off, you strain it and then you can reuse it at least once more. And what else do we have here? Remember when you opened the lye tank and it was empty and someone stole your skillet? Well, as a matter of fact, yeah, I thought someone stole something out of there too. But after checking and double checking, it turned out, no, that was my own fault. I had simply forgotten that I had taken things out of that particular lye bucket. So, no, so far, no one has stolen any of my cast iron, but I'm saying so far. So, hopefully, if and when I can finally get around to moving, and that is still going to happen, I'm actually going to be working on that this weekend. We will be, at least I'll have a little bit of security that way. Gee, Richard, a real tragedy. I think those fryers would be great for frying fish. Oh, definitely. That's why they initially called them fish fryers. I've made beer battered fish in these, and yeah, that turned out pretty darn good as well. So, yeah, exactly. How do you get rid of your old cooking oil? Well, like you said, you can reuse it at least once. I used to have one of those. It was a modern production at the time. Unfortunately, I suffered a tragic accident by falling down the basement stairs and cracking. Ow, my condolences, Richard. Richard Rudes, if I'm pronouncing that right. Or is it Rudes? I honestly do not know. Joseph Ortiz. Hey, I know I'm late, but I want to add those to my collection of cast iron. It is worth it. As I mentioned already, if you come across these on the hunt, don't hesitate to grab it. You will get a lot of use out of it. Pawpaw, I gotta quit our Louisiana slang on here. Looks like crawfish, crawdads, and crawdaddies. And oh yeah, as I said, so far I'm liking how this chicken turned out as well. It looks great, and I measured the temperature to be sure that it's not undercooked. So I used mine to make roast carrots and potatoes. Dana made shake and bake pork tenderloin in her cast iron roaster last night. Well, that sounds pretty good, Terry. Yeah, share a photo if you have it. Jose, I don't blame you. The chicken often used to taste like wood. Ouch. Oh, sorry to hear that. Great Glock thighs from a charcoal grill. Oh, that's what you meant by taste like wood. Okay. Pink Pony. I dated 2 gentlemen that worked at KFC. I get a lot of chicken freebies. Love the freshly fried chicken breasts. Oh yeah, no, I do like KFC fried chicken. It's just that I can only seem to take that in small doses. And having said that, tell us about the lizard on the stovetop. Yeah, that little guy is my mascot. I've mentioned him once or twice. He's a salamander. Um, Salamanders, of course, are mythical creatures that live in fire. He lives in my oven, in fact, and does a lot of supervision. But I figured he'd want to rest there because he's between 4 live burners, so there's a lot of heat right there. He actually showed up in an antique shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. Came across him, and I just knew he had to come home. So he initially was painted. I gave him a lye bath for about a month or so, seasoned him up, and he has been living in my oven ever since. I use the same lye as you and put mine in a 5-gallon bucket too. But your iron seems to clean up easier. It must be that New England water. Oh yeah, I love that dirty water. Well, that plus, so far the iron I've acquired recently has not been that difficult to clean. You know those ones you find that seem to have like half an inch or more of seasoning and buildup on them. It's been quite a while since I've found one of those, and I'm looking forward to being able to clean up one of those pans as well, see what it looks like. Joseph Ortiz, I always have problems when making fried chicken. I either get the skin right or the chicken itself right. The skin gets messed up. I have fried different parts with the same result. Well, okay, a lesson I learned and have taken to heart, and I think the results have, well, they speak for themselves, I guess you could say. If you look at all this chicken here, the one trick I've learned and I'm using is to add a little bit of corn starch to the flour when dredging, so that really helps the crust to harden up and become crunchy. Don't use too much cornstarch or it'll become like a rock. In fact, I've done that. But there is one tip. Even if you're using like a commercial chicken coating, you might even want to put a couple of tablespoons of cornstarch in, mix it in with it to help it adhere and give a nice thick and crunchy crust. So that's one tip right there. The other tip I've learned, and as you saw me doing it tonight, is the tip I still use for making meat. Use a thermometer. Yes, there are some people who are expert enough that can tell it's done just by a glance and a touch. But remember, this is hot chicken coming out of the oil. I would rather use a thermometer and be sure it comes up to the right temperature. So, half a teaspoon or half a tablespoon of cornstarch. Well, it depends on how much rub you're using. For example, my tip, I have a recipe, in fact, for, my recipe for fried chicken, which I use tonight, is in the description of this live video right here. If you go to the description, you'll see a link to my website where I include the fried chicken recipe. In that one, I use about 2 cups of flour and then 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. In this case, I doubled the amount because I was making a double batch tonight. So that was 4 cups of flour and a total of half a cup of cornstarch. So that in itself might give you an idea there. So if we're talking 2 cups of flour is 1/4 cup of cornstarch, or in other words, 4 tablespoons. So 1 cup of flour would be 1 tablespoon of starch. So there's your ratio right there. And I hope that helps. I soak my chicken in vinegar before baking, makes it tender and moist. Ooh, that sounds pretty good in itself. No doubt about that. Let's check this temperature one more time. Oh yeah, it's definitely heating up pretty fast. So let's cool this off. Turn this down a little bit. Didn't expect it to get so hot, in fact. Excuse me 1 second. And I definitely have to be careful here because I'm going to be adding oil and water. And you know what they say about oil and water not mixing. Yeah, I'm kind of cheating tonight. I'm going to be making some fries, and I'm doing it the easy way. Quite literally taking these things and carefully putting them in the oil. Kind of like that. So There we go. And the nice thing about making fries when you deep fry them is it's pretty simple. Again, when they start to float, they're done. That's on one hand. On the other hand, I've got one other thing to play around with tonight. And where did that go? Here it is. I'm hoping that this works right. All right. I do believe I am just about out of the chicken coating, unfortunately, mix. So I'm going to have to cheat a little bit. Excuse me. Do this as quickly as I can. And there it is. Being as fast as I can here. Thank you. Okay, I took my bowl that I used for the corn. I'm sorry, for the original chicken breading, and here I just added a little bit more flour. And to this, let's move over this way a little bit as we keep an eye on these fries. Where am I going to put this? Boy, I'm running out of room here. It's definitely another sign that I have to move. Okay, that might do if I'm careful. Now, where did I put those tongs? Darn it. Tongs. Here they are. And to this, let's throw in a nice block of mozzarella and a few pieces of cheese so that we can make ourselves mozzarella sticks. Or at least I hope so. I think that's all of them. One more. There we go. Trying to do this as quickly as I can here at this point. All right. Kind of cheating tonight anyway. I was actually soaking these for the last half hour or so. In fact, I used the same buttermilk mix that I used to soak the chicken. And I just put the this mozzarella in there. So that plus this should at least help this coat a little bit. It's not as good as I would have liked, unfortunately. I'm kind of rushing at this point because I'd like to get this done before the end of this video. But there we go. Nice and quick. Let's quickly drop these things carefully into the other batch of oil and see what happens, shall we? What's more, I only need to do these a couple of minutes. It's not going to take long at all. There we go. Oh, yeah, nice. And yeah, it looks like the fries are starting to float already. So any moment or so, the ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. We'll probably take the fries out now since I believe they're pre-cooked anyway. All you really have to do when you get them in the bag is simply, heat them up in the oven or fry them the way I'm doing now. So this is not going to take long at all. fact. Let's grab our spider. There we go. Got to be really careful with these, of course, because, yeah, these are hot. And I'm using a metal bowl, which can transfer the heat to my hand if I'm not careful. In fact, I think I can already feel it that way. Still, that sure didn't take long. And hey, these things have got a nice color on them. Of course, that's because I used the leftover frying oil to make these. Still, I'm not complaining at all about how these turned out. And that was a cinch. Yay for easy, cheap store-bought fries. One more. And another couple more. And the last one. And there we go. We've got some fries now to go with our, there we go, to go with our chicken. Put this away. Finally, oh yeah, I better get those cheese things quickly. I do believe they're already starting to burst. My bad. I kept them in too long, in fact. Oops. Oh well. There we go. Yeah, they tended to burst a little bit, but then again, I was kind of cheating on these anyway, so we still have sort of mozzarella sticks, and they're still going to taste good. Now, finally, for the last thing. This is the one where I do want to indulge a little bit. And hope this works. In fact, excuse me 1 second. Going to turn off the heat over here on the Lodge one, in fact. And here on the BSR. Let us very carefully take an entire block of mozzarella here and see what happens. You know, this is one of those things I've been wanting to try. Not just mozzarella sticks, an entire block. Well, for starters, I can see I'm going to have to flip this thing because it's too thick or too deep. Well, lesson learned already. So, where did I just put those tongs? Here they are. Yeah, looks like the cheese may already be starting to melt, in fact. Looks like the coating is not sticking very well to this one, unfortunately. Oh well, lesson learned. That's all right. We've got chicken, fries, and some sort of mozzarella sticks. How many marriage proposals do you think I'm getting tonight? Well, based on this cheese, I'm betting not as many as you might think. I was kind of hoping the coating would have stuck a little better than it did on this, unfortunately. So this, unfortunately, you remember what I've said about learning experiences? I do believe we've had something of a learning experience here, sorry to say. Oh, well. That's life. No worries. If I were to cut this now, I've no doubt this thing would really stretch too, so we'll just have to enjoy it as is. That's okay. But anyway, turn the heat off, and we get to start letting it cool. Oh, so far so good. Are you asking about a restored fish fryer or unrestored, with lid or without? Yeah, many variables. Oh, definitely. There's always those things to consider. I mean, granted, if you have some skill, you could, of course, restore a cast iron fish fryer yourself. Depending on the condition, that probably wouldn't be so hard either. You need to use cornstarch, then egg, then crumbs. Yes, I agree, Val's Black Cats. I kind of did that last one at the last moment and unfortunately didn't stick very well, but that's okay. Nonetheless, I have no complaints at all about how this fried chicken turned out. None whatsoever. And we are going to be enjoying ourselves some fried chicken tonight, that's for sure. Yeah, Cast Iron Chaos, yes, indeed. I adopted that name for several reasons, and definitely the chaos part does certainly apply. So thank you very much for that. Oh yeah, and good night, midnight as well. What do you call a good price on a fish fryer? Depending on what it's worth for you. I mean, if you feel you really, really want one, I probably would not even say that $100 for the fish fryer like this would be out of the question, assuming it's a vintage one, that is. You could get them brand new for less than that. The Asian made ones. So if you just want to use it, you might want to go for an Asian made one. If you want something special, you may want to take the time to look and see what happens if you can find yourself a original vintage. But that is what we have for you here. We brought out the BSR, the rare Birmingham Stove Range fish fryer, or deep fryer, I should say. And even though the title of this video was Battle of the Deep Fryers, I really was not expecting either of these to lose. I mean, it's not like you could say one is better than the other. They both did a fine job frying all that chicken. There is no denying that. And I really can't say one is better than the other. One is more rare than the other, which, due to its own circumstances, does not necessarily make it a better cast iron pot than the other. So as far as a battle is concerned, well, again, I'm still going to call it a draw because, yeah, I want to keep both of these if I can find room for them and do my best to make use of them as best as I can. I mean, cooking huge batches of chicken is definitely an advantage for this, and that's something I do want to do again. I mean, especially if I ever have to cook for kids, for instance, because again, we'll have a lot of chicken and it will be done very fast. So, and yeah, well, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, Cynthia Wesley, as well. So, have you ever cooked papadams? Not yet. They're East Indian dinner plate-sized chips. Only take 2 seconds. That's one of many things I think I need to learn about and make. Local Amish stores got really, really nice cast iron pots and pans if you want American-made ones besides Lodge. How are Trouble and Miss Mobley doing tonight? They're both doing very well, in fact. I forget if I told you, they have both transitioned to outdoor cats, even dear Miss Mobley. They are now both going outside on a regular basis. Trouble has already had his butt handed to him by the neighborhood cats at least once. He ran in here once and hid and was inside for most of the day, but physically he's doing okay. Even Mobley is wandering outside on her own as well, and that's good because I really can't expect them to stay in these 2 rooms for the rest of their lives. Trouble is definitely becoming something of a teenager. Basically, he's outside for most of the day. We barely see him except when it's time to eat. Then he comes in. It's like, yawn, hi, I love you. Let's eat, yum, 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 and then goes back outside again. Yeah. Mobley, on the other hand, she is, again, still spending a lot of time indoors, but I'm thinking she's still enjoying the freedom she has to go outside. So I'm quite happy about that. And good luck with the move. Yeah, tell me about it. This is taking a lot longer than I've expected. That much I will say. However, this weekend in particular, I intend on making a lot of progress with this. Let's just say I brought a professional realtor in to help me out with this. And I'm hoping that maybe by even next week, I may be able to make some kind of an announcement. But, well, we'll find out what happens next week. Nonetheless, next week, of course, there will once again be Cast Iron Wednesday. And I will do my best to entertain you, which is really all I can do. I mean, that's what I'm doing on this channel. I am having fun cooking in cast iron, and I'm hoping that you folks are enjoying it. That's really about all I can do. As I've said already, I'm not going out of my way to try to generate a lot of revenue on this channel, but I am doing my best to have fun. And that really is why I especially enjoy seeing you folks here on Wednesday evenings or anytime I do this. So thank you very much for showing up. Thank you if you've enjoyed yourself. Thank you very much. And this is the part where you're supposed to hit like and subscribe and notifications and everything. So I very much appreciate that. And I especially appreciate it when somebody gives honest criticism about whether or not I'm doing a decent job, because I mean, as you can see, I am not a professional chef. I have taken the foolish risk here of cooking live, in fact, where all of my mistakes are there for you to see. And well, all we can do is find out what happens again next Wednesday. So, Gene Groob, wrap up a place or two and stick them in your freezer. Oh, piece or two, and in there for a great picnic lunch sometime. Definitely looking forward to it. And thank you again for Shadow Walker XM and Gamer and Debbie and Val's Black Cats and Pawpaw Dan. And yes, thank you very much, everybody. And I'm glad you're enjoying yourselves, because I certainly am. And without a doubt, the biggest reason why I'm enjoying myself cooking live on YouTube is because of you folks. So I really can't thank you enough. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, and have yourself a good evening as well, because it is still Wednesday night and most of us have work tomorrow. But the weekend is coming, and of course, there's always next week. Thank you once again, folks. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next Wednesday.